Hey everybody, welcome back to BK's Bullets. Today we're going to be talking about Captain America, No Escape. Hey everybody, and welcome back to BK's Bullets. As always, I'm your host, Brent, and today we're going to be doing a review of Captain America, No Escape by Ed Brubaker and Bush Geist. But before we get into the review, let me ask you to please do one thing. Please subscribe. Helps me out, helps the channel grow, lets you know when I drop new videos, all that good stuff. Hit that bell if you're really crazy. Now, Captain America, No Escape. So, we are closing out the initial run of Ed Brubaker's Captain America here, and he's been in interviews. He was doing some interviews when The Falcon and Winter Soldier was airing on Word Balloon. He did two of them pretty in close succession. And he's basically saying that his Captain America run was him doing the Bucky book. And that's what he wanted to do. So that's why you see Captain America die and Bucky become Captain America. My biggest complaint so far is that up until this point, we haven't really seen Bucky as Cap that much in this costume that you see right here that was designed by Alex Ross. You've seen it numerous places. It's got the shield design on the chest of the costume, as well as him holding the round shield and things like that. So this kind of changes all that, but I'm worried because we're nearing the end of the run, and I know the last trade paperback I have, he's in like a gulag and stuff. So I don't know. But anyway, let's talk about what this book is about. So what is No Escape? Well, No Escape is it's a 5-issue storyline, and it's where Baron Zemo, the son of the original Zemo that Bucky and Cap were facing down in England in the 1940s, wants to get his revenge on Bucky. So if you don't know the comic book history, Captain America, Steve Rogers, and Bucky Barnes were fighting Baron Zemo, this guy's father, back in the 1940s, and they were setting out like a rocket ship or something like that, like a rocket plane, and the rocket plane exploded. It was cold, frigid waters, and Bucky was presumed dead. Captain America fell to the water, froze, I guess, and then the ice was later recovered and freed by the Avengers at a much later date, on the sliding scale of Marvel continuity, right? It could be in the 60s, 80s, 90s, whatever. So this Zemo is the son of the original Baron Zemo that was there in the 1940s. How that works in this like mid-2000s context, I'm not really sure. How your father is like a 30-year-old in the 40s, and then you're like 20 or 30 or something like that. I guess maybe if he had you when he was like 80 in the 70s, I don't know. But anyway, so this Zemo is the Zemo that they don't really call him his first name, so I can't really say for certain that this is the Zemo you're seeing in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, although he does have the purple mask that you saw in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But in comic books, anyway, he had been leading the Thunderbolts from its inception up until, I guess, Secret Invasion, when he got removed after Civil War. He disappeared or something like that from leading the Thunderbolts. So it was a long time that Zemo was running the Thunderbolts and was kind of a quasi-good guy. And it wasn't until this storyline that he kind of comes back as a bad guy. As you can see on the back here, this is, I think it's a Marko Djurjevic cover. He's got the fur and stuff like that. So his costume is a little bit different. But he's pissed. He comes back in this. He's pissed off because he's no longer running the Thunderbolts. Luke Cage is actually running it when this storyline, but even before then you had Norman Osborn running the Thunderbolts. So he's been replaced twice. So this book takes place post-Siege, and so we had skipped over Siege. Who will wield the shield in the trade previous to this said to be continued in Siege. So I guess that has taken place over the last trade, maybe this one. Now Steve Rogers is head of S.H.I.E.L.D. He is wearing the stealth suit that you've seen in the Winter Soldier movie, without the mask, without the shield, and because he's letting Bucky be Cap. So it's a pretty good storyline. It starts out with Zemo he's drugging Bucky to make him kind of hallucinate. Sam Wilson, the Falcon, gets injured pretty quickly, and then Bucky's all torn up about it. And then later on, Bucky's he thinks he's fighting some real Nazis because Zemo finds this old Nazi guy to show up and cause some trouble too. and Bucky's like outside and sees literally guys in SS uniforms, so he starts beating them up, only to realize later on that they're cops and he was been hallucinating. So Zemo is like slowly driving Bucky crazy, and most of the time they're trying to or half the storyline they're trying to find out how this is happening, who's behind it, blah blah blah. Meanwhile, you're seeing Zemo set all this up in the background when they do like the cutaways from Bucky and Natasha and Sam Wilson. So it's a pretty good storyline. I did enjoy it. And then, so the second half is them finding out that it's Zemo, and they go to confront him, and the final confrontation they have is on the island in England that, Bucky was originally killed on, which is kind of a, not a neat twist or whatever, but it's poetic, I guess you would call it. Comic book poetics. So, in the middle of this also, there's a lot of stuff with Bucky's not fate, not reality, his identity, his secret identity is kind of exposed here at the end, saying that, hey, our new Captain America is the long dead Bucky Barnes, who was also the Winter Soldier. And here's what the Winter Soldier was, y'all. He was a person that killed Americans, and he worked for Russia. This is bad. So we're going to see that storyline play out in the next trade paperback, The Trial of Captain America. So even that is part of Zemo's plan to kind of infuriate, demoralize, and destroy Bucky just for trying to get revenge for his father. There's not really like a personal vendetta. It's more of like a family history thing, but that's what it's about. I think it's a fun storyline. I really did enjoy it. I think the downside here, it's all drawn by Butch Geist, but there are so many inkers on here. You can just look on the first page. You got Mitch Breitweister doing inks on the first issue, and then the other issues you have Butch Geist doing his own inks, Mitch Breitweister again, and then Mark Pennington. And there are some times where the art goes from this kind of, very reminiscent of Mike Perkins when he's inking or doing his own art, and then in a later issue it gets a lot more simplified, where like it loses a whole lot of detail, and I'm going, wait, what happened to Mitch? To Butch Geist, who's an artist I love. To even there was one shot. This is very classic comic booky, like very Jack Kirby-ish or John Romita-ish from the '60s and '70s and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, this is like 2000s. Why does this look so old? Even though it's got modern colors, so it kind of takes you out to go from this like really lush, hyper detailed. That's the Beetle here. She's involved in the plot. To this kind of more simplified thing where there's a lot less inks, a lot less scratches. It's a lot less rendered. It's just kind of like simplified, I guess you would call it, which is a very classic look. But the way Butch Geist is drawing, and you've seen him ink his other stuff before, it's a very modern Michael Larkey kind of detail. It's very rough, got a lot of grit and grime and dirt to it. And then to go in this other issue where it's very clean, very classic, just takes you out. And knowing that Butch Geist is the only artist in this book laying down the pencils, it's like, man, it really shows you what an inker can do to an artist. He can help them out, he can bring out their qualities, or he can totally kind of erase that base artistic level that they bring to their pencils. I mean, you've seen this across the board if you follow an artist who's inking themselves and then get a new inker, stuff like that. Like Brian Hitch is a great example. Brian Hitch works well with an inker, I think sometimes, maybe specific ones. And when he does it himself, it looks a little sloppy. He's not quite as sharp. David Finch has had a bunch of inkers who I think are complementary and stuff like that. Ed McGuinness has had some different inkers. Steve McNiven, I think, is one guy who, just talking about different artists here, Steve McNiven, when he's inked by Dexter Vines, like the classic Civil War work he did and the New Avengers stuff, I think it's phenomenal. When McNiven's just left to his own devices, or maybe has a different inker than Dexter Vines on him, I don't think it stands up as well. So everybody has their favorite artist, and then with that has a favorite inker on that artist, I would say. So whoever made this classic look on Butch Geist is not my favorite inker on Butch Geist. So we will just say that. But overall, I think the art is pretty good, except for that one issue where it kind of falls apart. The last issue, the showdown and all that looks really good, so there's no worries about there. It's just the issue right before that you're just kind of like taken out. of the story. I'm trying to. There was a panel that screamed Jack Kirby at me in this issue. I think it's 608. Yeah, this. I guess it was that face I showed you already, but it just screamed Jack Kirby, and I'm like, why does it look so Kirby-ish? It's just bizarre. Like, okay, look at it here. Look at this panel of Captain America down here. Like, doesn't that scream 70s, like 80s art style, Marvel art style? Not 2009 Butch Guice or whatever, whenever this came out, 2010. So, yeah, I think that's the only downside. So, Captain America, No Escape, should you read it? I think so. If you're continuing to read the Bucky Cap book, yeah, this is fun because it sets up, I think, what is probably the best storyline and the thing that kind of like brings it all together in terms of who Bucky is, who he's been, who he has become, and him having to pay for his crimes. There's a moment in here where Zemo says, what have you done to earn your redemption? And we're about to go through that storyline with the trial of Captain America. So it's fun. Zemo is fun. I do recommend it. It's not the greatest Cap story you've ever read, but for a Bucky Cap book, it was fun. I'm looking, I enjoy this. He was in the uniform the whole book, which is fantastic for me because I love this uniform. I love this style. I love the design. Like, this is just a phenomenal design from Alex Ross that he gave to Bucky here. So I want to see more of it, and I'm sad it's gone. But yeah, Captain America No Escape, thumbs up from me. So let me know what you guys think down below of Captain America, the Bucky Cap book at Brubaker's Run, and we will see you guys next time in the Funny Pages.